And welcome everybody to the Jeremy Womack Show. How are you doing? It is Monday. We're looking at March 10th, and it is a beautiful day here in Las Vegas. I spent the whole entire weekend in Los Angeles. I went to a Los Angeles Galaxy game, which was pretty awesome. It was my first time going to a professional soccer game. And I had only watched soccer back in the day in high school. That's where all the cute girls in high school played soccer. They didn't play a lot of other sports, but definitely soccer, and that was definitely worth checking out. But are you calling on that or on this?
I'm going to call on this.
Okay, cool. So we have Justin Spencer is going to be on the show with us today. He's from Recycled Percussion and Legacy X, and we're going to get him on the phone right now. George is doing that on the backside. So just talk a little bit about my little vacation in Los Angeles this weekend. So I went to this soccer game. It was like I said, the first time I had gone to a professional soccer game before, and second, I was on the jumbotron with the people that I was with. There was two little girls that were very excited about being on this jumbotron. Apparently, they give you these, or you buy them. There's these scarves that are for the Los Angeles Galaxy, and you hold them up and wave them all around and all that. And so they stand up and do this dance, and then they hold up this banner or this scarf that says it on it, and they happen to get on to the actual jumbotron. So it was cool. There was a picture of it. I think I even have it posted online somewhere if you want to go check it out. But are we good? All right. Hey, Justin, we got you on the phone?
You got me on the horn. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Great. What's going on?
Not much. It's the first time I'm having somebody on my show via telephone, so we want to make sure it was going off correctly. And I understand you have rehearsal going on over there or whatever.
Yeah, we are in a big event over here at the Venetian, and we've been stuck in rehearsals all day. So I've jetted outside to my car here in the parking lot to give you a ring and utilize and leverage your technology.
Well, I appreciate that, and at least you're not doing it in the middle of summer when it would be 120 degrees outside. So.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on. We'll talk about both things. We've got Recycled Percussion we're going to talk about, and Legacy X as well. So take us back to the beginning with Recycled Percussion. I mean, I know a little bit about it. I've been to a couple of your shows. We have a mutual friend in common, Cheryl, and she invited me, and I went to a couple other ones, and Melissa is a friend of mine as well. So I've been there banging on the pots and having a great time, and it's a fantastic show. I think everyone should go see at least once, if not twice. But that started from my understanding, was back in the day in high school from a talent show. Is that correct?
Yeah, long before we were a perennial headline show here in Las Vegas, we were just little guys in high school banging on anything we could get our hands on, including the desks in class. And we decided that we would take a stab at trying it at a high school talent show, and we took some pots and some pans, a kitchen sink from my dad's garage, some buckets around the house, and we started to formulate which was now Recycled Percussion. But back then, the idea was just to play one show, one time, for a high school talent show, and then one thing led to another. A whole lot of stuff in between.
Right.
And here we are 19 years later, 5,000 shows, and headlining nightly on the Las Vegas Strip. I mean, it's an incredible journey.
It's awesome. So you do that one show, and then that was the idea, just to do one show. How did it turn into more? Did you just get this overwhelming reaction from that show that you said, hey, maybe we can make a go of this? Or, how did that come about? Did someone else see it and then bring you in and do some other shows for them? Or?
Yeah, Jeremy, it was just that. We played a show for a high school talent show,
mm-hmm.
and there was somebody in the audience who happened to be a principal of a local elementary school, and he said, I think that the kids at the school would love it if you guys came and performed for our school.
Right.
So we went over to the school, we performed, and it then, presented us with options that we thought that we could do this by going around to high schools and doing assemblies playing for schools, and that's
right.
exactly what we did. We capitalized on the opportunity that was in front of us, and we started playing schools all over New Hampshire, the state we're from, right outside of Boston, and we were charging schools $50 to $100 to have us come play. And at the time, that seemed like that was a big deal. We couldn't believe
Sure.
someone would pay us $100 to come play drums
Sure.
at their school, and we had self-stamped ourselves as the local rock stars.
And it is really amazing what you guys do with all sorts of different things. Where your audience has a pan that they get to pick out and a drumstick, and then you're on stage, you're banging on upside down trash cans, and you are banging on ladders, and you have grinders making noises and all sorts of stuff. It seems like it's developed really nicely from, obviously you didn't have all, I'm assuming you didn't have all this stuff at the very beginning, but adding all these different elements in the show just to give it, that Las Vegas flair, if you will.
Yeah, there's been an incredible evolution since day one, where, I mean, with the first few years that we performed, we didn't even have a sound system. So, I mean, we played everything analog and with drumsticks and buckets and and that was pretty much what we had. And then, then one thing leads to another. Then we got one more piece. Then we got a sound system. And then we got a little trailer for our instruments. And then we bought a van that was $8,000. And then, then we got a bigger sound system. And then we bought 5 years later, we got our first $30,000 used piece of crap mobile home. Yeah, I mean, this kept going and going and going and going until eventually, about 9 years ago, we started touring all over the world and actually be able to pad our wallets.
Now, for those that are thinking about not necessarily doing exactly what you do, but the story that you just painted for us was going from something just very small, but gradually growing into what it is now. I assume that there were times in there where you may have gotten frustrated with how it was going, or how maybe quickly it was going or not going. Any thoughts or words of advice for people out there that are pursuing what they would consider their dream? To what was the drive that just said, this is really what we want to do, and we're just going to keep doing it regardless of where we happen to be now? Eventually we will not be on analog, and eventually we will have our sound system and all that.
Well, as you know, Jeremy, in life there's no guarantees.
True, true.
When you are a band from a small town in New Hampshire that plays drums on recycled objects, it's not like we have millions of fans showing up.
Right.
But we always enjoyed what we did first and foremost. So, and we were very creative in how we were able to market our band locally, which then led us to more opportunities that other bands weren't getting and other shows weren't getting, because at the end of the day, it's not that we were the most talented. We certainly weren't the most gifted, but you would be hard-pressed to find a band that wasn't more creative and hard-working and getting the name out there. So I think that's, really what I think we can look back on and, realize that, the reason why we did all those things is why we have such success now, and we've kind of followed that. That's kind of our DNA. It always has been, and still to this day. As you know, you've been to the show.
Sure.
We still shake every fan's hand that walks out of our show.
You do.
We're still hands-on with our creative, and we're hands-on with our merchandising and everything else in between. I mean, we make sure that, that we have a big part in what our fans see on stage, 100%.
And so then it's that, instead of it being, of course, you need to be talented out there, but it's this drive and determination of you're enjoying what you do, you're just going to keep doing it, and a lot of it, people just see. I mean, you guys have a ton of energy in this show. I mean, it's hard to describe to people. You're climbing up ladders, you're flying down them, you're running all over the place, and you have these nice breaks throughout the show and change it up a bit. I think that it's an infectious thing. It's obvious when you have people in the audience banging on pots themselves. They're getting involved. They're not just sitting there, here we are now, entertain us. It's, we want to be a part of the show too. And I think that's a great and novel way to approach it, which I hadn't seen in a long time. And I've been in this town for 14 years. So. Yeah,
I hear more times than not, as it relates to our show, and you'll understand, you probably said it yourself, when people come out, they say, how the hell do you guys have the energy to do that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I mean, in that question, Jeremy, I don't have an answer to.
Right.
I just know that for whatever the reason, I mean, when you really, really, really love what you do, when you genuinely would do it for free,
Right.
and you look out there and there's 500 people in an audience, and they're looking at you with a gleam in their eye of just this love for what you're doing on stage creatively, that should be enough fuel to get your, that's 100 cups of coffee.
Sure.
And I think that's where it comes from. I mean, we genuinely love what we do, and I can't think, and I'm not just saying this in art, and it's not to be self-serving, I can't think of a show or a band that has more energy than us. There's bands like that, but, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone out there that has more energy than us on stage.
And I'll take that a step further. It is the energy, but it's also, so you'll see other shows. Okay, so your show is once a night, correct, at 7, right?
Yeah, we play every night. We're dark on Fridays at 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, so you do it 6 days a week, once a night, but as the audience member, like I said, I've seen it a couple of different times. I would think that whatever moves you're pulling off, you hadn't done hundreds of times. So you'll get to the point when you go to some of these productions. I'm not going to be specific, but you'll see what they do, and you're like, oh, they don't feel like they're into it because they've done it. We're seeing it for the first time, but everybody else, for them, they've done it 100 times. And I think that is, to tip my hat to you, is that you're able to make sure, and like you said, because you love it so much, that what you're presenting, it feels like the first time for everybody else.
Yeah, I will shut myself down the moment I start cookie cuttering my performances. And I always say that the greatest comedians of all time, and I always marvel at comedians because they have a really tough job. They've got nothing to fall back on, and if their jokes aren't hitting, or if they had a bad day like we all have, they have to go out there and perform. And I always marvel at a comedian that can tell the same jokes over and over and over again and tell it like they're telling it for the first time.
Right.
And I try to apply that to our music. I go, let's make pretend in our minds that we've never jumped off a ladder before, and let's just go, whoa, that was incredible, and just marvel at what we're doing on stage so the audience can feel that. And I think that we've done it so much now that it's almost like we believe we're on stage for the first time and maybe the last time. So you don't go out there with that mindset of like, okay, just another performance is a job.
Right.
The second that happens, man, I'm shutting myself down.
Sure, and then it stops being fun. And to top it off, it's not just you in the show, but there's you and 3 other people that have the same energy. So to pull that off too, I again tip my hat because during each show, as much as you'd like to make sure that everybody in the show is doing what they're supposed to, you don't know that until afterwards. You're like, hey, you didn't hit your mark, you didn't do this, but it seems like you have such this great chemistry and camaraderie that everybody is really excited to be there and perform for everybody. I mean, I point that out because, again, it is 4 different personalities, but you have to gel so well that it comes off as, again, everybody else has been doing this same exact move hundreds of times, but it comes off as the first time. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and our camaraderie that you see on stage is a direct result from our camaraderie off stage, where you've got a great group of guys, and we hang out and love and embrace each other off stage so much so that when we go on stage, it transcends the audience.
And for those that haven't seen, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you were on America's Got Talent, and how big of a role did that play? I figure you were touring a bit before that, or obviously doing it before. So was it just another thing to help promote, or did it really just take you to that next level?
It did both. Our show was very successful. This group would make, around $1 million a year each year, which is a lot of money for a band.
Mm-hmm.
To make, and to generate. That's not, It's not a record label band. You know, a show that's building itself. We had success year after year after year before we did America's Got Talent.
Right.
What then helped us on America's Got Talent because we were veterans. You know, we'd already played thousands of shows, and many of the acts that go on a program like that, you know, of course, the storyboard, you know, they're virgins to that, and we leveraged those experiences to catapult ourselves through those episodes, and eventually landing us in Vegas. And because of that experience with America's Got Talent and our competitive spirit to want to be the best on the show, it forced us to be much more creative than we had been in years past as artists. So we opened our minds to all kinds of different things that we could do, and that ultimately has now helped us in Las Vegas. As you see, we have some really creative things that we do in our show, and that is because 100% because America's Got Talent opened our eyes.
So the show, in essence, forced you, because it was this weekly thing, when it got down to it, that you had to come with something different every single time. Otherwise, they would go, well, you know, you'd get that. And I really enjoyed the show, so you'd get that same, we've seen that already. You're not wowing us anymore. We want to be wowed. And so you had the ability to really use your creative juices, but it forced you to really think outside the box. Or the van, if you will.
I mean, we have a good balance. We have a good balance in our show of wow factor stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, we're not going to compete with Cirque du Soleil. We don't have a $500 million stage. But I'm telling you, as an artist, I've seen Cirque du Soleil shows that I feel are garbage. They spent a lot of money on that. I go, wow. At the end of the day, I don't love any of these characters.
Right.
It's my biggest knock on Blue Man Group. I mean, I loved how the incarnation of Blue Man Group. I love it. I used to go all the time when I was 20 to see them at the Playhouse in Boston. But now I don't love any of the characters. Right? So when you leave a Blue Man Group show, you're not leaving going, I have to see that again tomorrow. You go, that's a great show. That was really creative and clever, and you move on.
Right.
We pride ourselves in going, okay, we can't afford that budget. We don't have $50 million to throw at this, but we have smiles, and you can't buy smile. You can't buy passion. You can't buy energy. You either have it or you don't, and that's what we hang our hats on every night on stage.
Yeah, you have to have that passion and those smiles to make the audience feel like they are a part of it, and like you said, maybe even want to come back the very next day to see it again, or even better yet, not actually have the show stop. You know, you're sitting there watching, and you're like, wait, it's done? No. I want it to keep going. You know, and that's a testament. I think it's what's expected when people come to Las Vegas is that they want to be wowed. They don't want to see what they've seen back home. They want to come here and see something that they've never seen before. And I really think that you guys bring that to the table. I mean, I'm sure you've had comparisons to other similar types of things before, but I don't think that they had the staying power that you guys have. And you've gone to different venues. I think you were at the MGM, and I saw you at Tropicana, and now you're over at the Quad. So you just keep moving along and keep pushing forward, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it keeps it fresh for us too.
Right.
To be, and our venues keep getting bigger and better for us.
Now, let's dive into your new project, because a lot of kids that may have grown up similar to how you did, which I assume was in music. Were you in a band or in high school and things like that?
Yeah, I grew up doing high school jazz band, marching band. My dad was a drummer in a band, so I was very fortunate there was drums in the house.
Okay.
My whole life, so I genuinely don't know what it's like to not play drums. I mean, I've always had drumsticks in my hand, and always found myself through music.
The reason I brought that up is I'm 37 now, and I don't know what it's like for kids in high school these days. But Legacy X has a lot of things with it. Watch your video today on the website. which I didn't know had all that extra things to it. But all I had heard about recently was the event that you're going to be doing come March 22nd called Bully X. And so I brought up the band part because when I was in high school, those were kids that got bullied a lot were the ones that were intelligent, were in band or liked music or liked art of some kind. So did you experience that, or Legacy X and Bully X are just a huge passion of yours because you see this happening to people and you are looking to help stop and prevent that from happening to anybody else?
Well, I think it's all those things. I had a kind of an intervention moment with myself recently where I started to think back and I was like, wow, I think I was a bully, back in the day. I think when I look back into it, I've done things. So then I started to really examine that process. And I started to wonder to myself, maybe we all have bullied somebody to some degree and also been a victim. So I've been on both sides of it. And bullying at this point is such a saturated word. It's actually getting frustrating. It's just being used everywhere, and that's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on trying to help people, find the goodness and kindness in their heart and not project their negativity on other people for their own self-serving reasons. And that's kind of what bullying really is. I mean, bullying isn't just like, go to the playground, knock the kid down, and give him a fat lip. That's one form of it. But yeah, but bullying is so much more than that. And it's a mindset that I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to educate myself, but I'm also trying to let people know that, hey, listen, we're coming up with solutions, radical solutions, not just awareness, right? I mean, I'm about to, do one of the biggest bullying PR stunts of all time here in 2 weeks, but that's awareness, and that's great. But we know that what's out there. We know that bullying is out there. That's not new news. But we need to create a solution.
Right.
And that's where my mind is at. Where can we find solution? And my energy and all my focus is on that.
Right. And you brought up a good point, is that it's not just pushing the kid down and giving them a fat lip in school. It's, even into social media, let's take Twitter, for example, and people blowing up, Twitter pages with their @replies and making really derogatory comments to people, and then getting that kind of thread or viral thing going. It happens even in the virtual world, if you will, too, of not just it being a one-on-one, face-to-face, but then it can quickly turn to more of like a gang type situation that can be really harmful to people.
Yeah, it's. I would argue that it's more of a social thing now, social media thing, than an in-person thing. Growing up, I'm not sure of your age, but I assume that you're my generation, and we grew up with bullying on the playground and at the bus stop. And when we went home at night, that was it. We had a safe place, unless of course we dealt with it at home, which was very common.
Sure.
But I mean, from the kids or the terrorists, at the school that were giving us a hard time, we dealt with it, at school.
Right.
Now you go home and it's worse.
Right.
Now you go home and it's pictures of you being posted, things are being said to you, and hurtful things, and people are hiding behind it, and people are picking on you through ambiguity, and it's just that to me is what we're starting to see as a major problem. Yeah,
they'll create a personality that's not even that person, and then they'll start attacking that person. And it's a great point that you bring up. As far as my age, I'm 37, so I graduated high school in '95, and you're right. Social media didn't exist back then, and you got a reprieve when you went home from any kind of name calling or whatever in school, but now because you've decided that you want to be a part of social media, then all this stuff can be thrown at you. Even if you didn't want to do it that way, people can still hide behind a name or whatever, and you're not even on social media, but they still start rumors and they start making attacks on you in this other realm, if you will, and you don't even know what's happening until sometime later, maybe at school, you come up and say, "Oh, did you hear what was said about you on blah blah blah?" And that then you get it even more, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree, and I'm the same age as you, and we've experienced it. We've experienced the same kind of things, and that's what we're trying to raise awareness to now, and find solutions for.
Now, this event that you're having, like you said, you're getting awareness for it. You're going to be going to the Dry Lake Bed out in Jean. For those that don't know, and I think I know what you're talking about, it's over there by Gold Strike, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and from what I understand, you're going to be putting this massive red X in the middle of the desert, and again, that's part of what your Legacy X and Bully X is a big red X to signify it. But that again is to create more awareness for it. What what is it that you think will transpire from doing that? It'll just be sent viral on social media, and then people will get more aware of it. You were talking about how we fix it. But the awareness has to be there that it's actually occurring, and then I guess we can ask how different ways you might go about helping fix it. But what do you envision happening from this event on March 22nd?
Well, first off, we do want to raise awareness even more than it already has. That's step one. Step two is we're giving the opportunity for people of all ages to have a voice. When and just to break it down, we are building a massive red X in the desert that's going to be humongous. It's the size of a football stadium. And it's comprised of pieces of paper that people have filled out their messages on of anti-bullying, inspiration, and hope. And this affords them the opportunity to have a voice and be a part of something big. That's the first step. So we're doing two things. I mean, does writing a message on a piece of paper stop this whole thing from happening?
Mm-hmm.
Hell no. Doesn't even put a dent in it.
Right.
But it shows that there are people out there that are working on this. It does give people hope that there are solutions and progress. It does show that there are people that are taking time and effort that want to be behind this, so you are not alone. And there's something to be said for that. That's raising awareness with passion. That's not just going, I'm going to post a picture about my friend that got a fat lip because he was gay online so people know that bullying's out there. We know bullying's out there. We all experience it. Even bullies get bullied. That's why they end up being bullies. I mean, we all get it.
Right.
But we want to make something so resoundful and have such an impact globally that people go, these people do care. This is a major undertaking, and it couldn't have been done. This project couldn't have been done in a weekend. I mean, this is taking months and months of hard work and dedication. So, I mean, that to me is raising awareness on a high level and showing people that we care.
It is. And just like you had mentioned, just those people that are taking the time to put on the pieces of paper their feelings about it and getting it to you so you can put it a part of the project, and you can show all of these little pieces make up this big X. When people think about that and actually want to take the time to think about that, obviously, they will see that this is a bigger issue than, it's just little Johnny getting, pushed around, man up and take it. It's just the reason, like we've talked about before, is that the reason it's getting more and more prevalent and we're talking about it more is because of the ability for people to hide behind things more and start problems more. So I applaud you for continuing the effort and making people aware of it and doing projects like this, because I think the more and more it's out there, the quicker we can get it to stop. I mean, people might look at myself. They may say, yes, you look like you were bullied, or no, you don't, but I was. And, you were told those things. You got to, man up, just, don't listen to what they say, this and that, and it's easier said than done. So those solutions, I think, might be part of what you're talking about with your whole project, Legacy X, which is about substance abuse, being pro-fitness, goal setting, and things like that, where you can help people just change their own mindset, and then it automatically doesn't affect them what other people say. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, I mean, my goal isn't just to focus on anti-bullying. That's our foundation. Legacy X is basically, we are a radical company that comes up with solutions on how to inspire people to make change, and whether that be, quitting substance abuse, losing weight, getting fitness, battling depression, finding a new job, that dealing with kids at school, whatever the heck it is in their life that they want to change, we're building a community of people that have nothing in common other than they want change.
Right.
And we're doing it by empowering people to empower others. And we're seeing, we're seeing this thing has taken off at a lightning pace.
Right. And if people want to get involved with that, how do they do that? Is it legacyx.com?
Yeah, I encourage you to go to legacyx.com or go to my Facebook page and friend request me, which is also facebook.com/legacyx.
Okay.
All the information's on there. We've got thousands of people from all over the world that are jumping onto this, the inspiration wagon, if you will, and we are making differences. We're seeing people that have wanted to quit smoking for 30 years that are, not because we have some magic patch or we have some book or some hypnosis process
Sure.
that we vomit on you, just because people, they go, I've had enough and I want to change you. And words are very powerful.
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
And a lot of times it just takes that community around you of people that encourage, and take your point about smoking. It could be people around them going, hey, we like you and we'd like you to be around a lot longer, and quitting smoking might help that process. And just having the group of people around you that can encourage you to do that is helpful too. And so that it's what you're doing, I believe, with Legacy X, is building this group of people. Now, is this a group of people that will meet on an ongoing basis, or they interact through the website, or how does that work?
Yeah, they interact right now through Facebook, and we're converting that over to our website, which has been a very tedious process. We're developing a website that, unlike any website that I've ever seen,
Right.
Where you'll have full membership ability, communication through SMS messaging, and a community of people backside there, and live streaming video to with sessions and seminars on there, mixed in with, we do so many cool events. Just in our offices here in Las Vegas, we have movie theater built into it, so we have movie nights. We do 5Ks. We just did a hockey night the other night. Every weekend
Wow.
we're doing some other event. We get hundreds of people that come out that all want to be in that same playing field, where they don't want to be in a place where it's drugs and alcohol. They don't want to be in a place where there's negativity around them. And we're offering that safe haven of going, hey, listen, and we're not doing it in a cheesy way. This is not some
Sure.
we're not getting on Deepak Chopra and weird on you. We're just saying, hey, listen, our doors are open for people that want to make change and do it in a badass way. Come on down.
Right. I wish something like this was around when I was younger, because I would have been on board for sure, because you almost felt like you didn't want to go out because there was an element of that. If you did get bullied in school, you didn't go and hang out with those people after the fact either, because you're like, well, I might run into the same thing, so I'll just stay at home and read my books or play a video game or something. And so it's good, and it encourages people that going out and hanging out and doing things with other people doesn't automatically mean that you will be bullied or picked on, or it's just a welcoming environment of people, of like-minded people that want to do the same thing, whether it's a movie or hockey or what have you.
Yeah, but luckily for you, Jeremy, you can do it now.
Oh, cool.
It's for any age. This isn't for kids. This is for anybody that wants to change and come down, or be a mentor. You could put anybody in front of me, and I'll say, here's what you could do, here's what you could change, and here's how you can inspire somebody. Because there's nobody that's obsolete for this process.
Right. Well, I wanted to take it an hour, but I do know that you have other things going on, unless there were more things that you wanted to cover during this call. I think that a lot of people recognize what it is that you've got going on with Legacy X. They want to be involved with that. They can go to the Facebook page. You can also, in the future, or they can go to legacyx.com, and there's I believe a sign-up form there. There's a little video explaining what it is too, and that's you in the video. And they can also go see you live Saturday through Thursday over at the Quad and Recycled Percussion, and see you bang the hell out of ladders and dance, and there's a really cool comedy skit in there that you guys do too, that I've seen it before from you guys, and every time I laugh, because you do a fantastic job. just basically entertaining people. And I think that all that process that you went through and growing up and to where you are now with the show has definitely helped you with this. I don't even think it's probably a new thing. It's probably something that you've always wanted to do, but gave you additional skills to be able to launch it the way that you wanted to do. So.
Well, I appreciate the time today, man. And I appreciate you letting me get the word out. And I encourage anybody that wants to make change or get involved, or small scale, big scale, and want to learn more, to go to my Facebook page right now. Just friend request me. Say, hey, listen, I heard you on the radio. I'd love to get involved, and we'll hook you up from there. And if not, we'll see you at the show.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much, Justin, for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. And continued success. And I look forward to seeing the show soon.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, not a problem. Have a great day. Mr. George.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm still alive over here.
That was a cool interview.
That was totally cool.
Yeah. I think Justin...
So he's got a big red X.
It's a huge red X that's going to go out in the middle of the desert I'm hoping maybe can see from space, but I don't know how. He said it's a couple of football fields large. I think that's what he said. But definitely will be able to be seen from above, and I think it's going to be a good thing. I mean, did you experience bullying when you were younger?
I think we all have.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my times, but I kind of freaked out on everybody. So I was short and skinny, but I just went nutso. So they kind of left me alone.
They said, "Don't mess with George because he's just going to go crazy."
Yeah. So I mean, I obviously had to experience it in the first place for them to find that out.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, most people kind of left me alone. But we all experience it. My children are experiencing it right now in school.
Sure. If you have anything that seems to be different than other people, and that's the thing. It's something I wanted to point to, is that a lot of times it doesn't really matter. You know, when I was growing up in high school, I could remember going home, and I am okay with admitting this. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was just frustrated with the way everything was going. It was my first year at this school, and I wasn't really friends with anyone. And I was going home, I was crying because it wasn't in the cliques. And then I just had this epiphany in that I said, you know what? The thing is that it doesn't matter the type of person that I am. If I want to be like this group over here, then this group's not going to like me. And if I want to be like this group, this one won't like me. So the easiest thing that I could do than trying to be like everybody else was just be me, like the things that I liked, introduce things that I liked to other people, and that would naturally have people of like mind gravitate towards me. And that meant I then had friends in all of the cliques. There was, 10, let's say 10 cliques in the school. So I had a friend in each one, and they kind of stuck up for me, and maybe someone might have been picking on me in that group. They're like, why are you messing with him? He's a cool guy. He doesn't do anything wrong to people. He helps people out. What's the problem? I mean, I can remember specifically, I did very well in track when I was in high school. And so I had, so much so that I broke a couple of school records. And I mentioned that because they announced that on the school announcements. They talk about what's going on. They're like, oh, yeah, we had this track meet, or if it was football, whatever. But they would say, oh, we had a track meet, and the Seahawks is what we were. The Seahawks did XYZ, and they won this, and they did this. And, oh, by the way, Jeremy broke a long-standing school record, and so did this other person, because we had a really good track team during that time. But I got teased about that from people. You walk around, and they're like, oh, Mr. Big Shot,
Mr. Track Boy,
you got yourself a record there. You think you're cool now? And I didn't go around professing, like, look at how cool I am. This was just their approach towards me.
But how does it work? I mean, really, if you think about it, now you'll see that the football star or whatever, they don't have to do anything. Everybody just sucks up to them.
Right.
And the ones that stand out a little bit off to the side doing something that could be just as spectacular,
sure,
they'll nail against. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And that's why my approach was different, because and I think it does take being bullied to some degree to understand what it is to care about people, because you think to yourself, I wouldn't do that to people. I wouldn't treat them that way. And so with that mindset, I could be talking with a friend, and because I was getting my name announced on the announcements, more people got to know who I was. Not who I was, but my name and what my face looked like, basically. But I had people would come up to me, "Hey, Jeremy, good race," or "How you doing today?" And it was a brief interlude, and I could have been talking to you, George, and we're having a conversation, and they interrupt there for a second, and they go away, and yeah, I'm like, "Oh, thanks. I'm glad you came. Thanks for the support. I appreciate that. Good to see you." And they leave, and you might say, "Who was that?"
Right.
And I go, "I don't know." And you were like, "Well, why did you say hi to them?" I said, "Because they said hi to me." Why were you nice to them? Because they were nice to me. And I think that's a key, is that, the more that you project out of being a good person and looking to help people and promote people, if that's your thing or your goal, or just be nice, it's just, I don't know. It
It doesn't take much to
it
be
doesn't
nice.
take much. I think it's easier. So, they always say it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile.
Right.
I think that's the same thing. It takes less effort just to be a nice person than it does to be a mean person, because everyone has good qualities, and all you got to do is
I mean, there
see
may be a
them.
couple out there that do not, but the majority, most do.
Most people have most people have good qualities, and a couple don't, according to George. We don't know who those couple are. We can only
Well, I
assume.
could probably point a couple of them out.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. But again, I look at, and we're talking about how social media, this day and age, has made bullying and all that even more prevalent. I've experienced it myself. I have friends that are experiencing it now, and I don't know why people do it. I could only imagine that it's everyone. It's like this mirrored reflection. If somebody tells you that you can't do something, they're just looking at you like you're a mirror. They look at you, they see themselves, they go, "I can't do it." So what makes you think that you can do it? And it kind of sets this little mindset precedent for them to be hurtful and to go after people, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, for no other reason than they don't want that person to be successful because that person's doing something and they're not.
Wasn't it kind of amazing, though, as being adults, that
Right.
you can still carry on bullying into your adulthood?
It's very sad.
I mean, come on. I mean, when do we grow up?
You would, and it's always said, that's high school behavior, but it seems like this day and age, it doesn't matter if you graduate in high school at 18, you still have people in their 30s doing the same thing.
Same thing, right?
And you're like, really? I thought I got to leave this when I wasn't forced to go to school anymore. I thought I was able to leave this mentality of, oh, I'm going to pick on you just because. I'm going to talk about you just because.
I mean, there are people that you may run into that kind of rub you the wrong way for whatever reason.
Okay.
I mean, there's people I've ran into, and I just kind of looked at them, and it's nothing not that I didn't like them, but just something about them. But I didn't sit there and instantly start picking on them
Sure.
or saying derogatory things to them. I just left them alone.
Right.
It was that simple. It's not that hard to go on with your own life. And okay, suppose there is somebody you don't really care for out there, leave them alone. If you don't care for them, don't go around them.
I agree, and I think I have more than the time that you had told me.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I'm just
I looked at the thing wrong. That's okay. But now we're almost there.
okay. Just making sure because I'll get these little numbers.
Yeah, I did the 5
I'm
minutes too early.
I'm like, what are you talking about? We have lots to talk about here.
Looking at the wrong clock.
But the best thing anyone can do to change the mood of other people is just to reach out, just to be nice. You don't know how that's going to affect someone's day the rest of the day, but it makes you feel good to be nice. It makes you feel good to reach out to somebody and even smile and hold the door open. And just because you held the door open and they don't say thank you, big deal.
All I say is you're welcome.
See, there you go. You're bullying, George.
No, if
I'm just
they
teasing. I know.
say if they don't say nothing, I say you're welcome on the way in.
And you're just
I'm
reminding
kind of
them.
reminding them that maybe people have forgotten their manners. Maybe people forgot how to be nice to one another.
Correct.
So instead of being nasty or being mean, like, hey, look, you man, I just simply say, you're welcome.
Are you sure you weren't wearing a doorman uniform when you were opening that door?
Let me think. Oh crap! Yeah.
See, that's why they didn't say thank you because they thought it was your job.
That's right. Now you're thinking
it was your
back.
job.
I gotta stop wearing those outfits.
You
around.
should. Like
The
a little
clown outfit
hat.
always gets me in trouble.
Always gets you in trouble.
There'll be kids that do balloons, and I've got no idea how to do the balloons.
No, you're
No.
just a clown just standing there.
Yeah.
with a club or something.
Yeah, it's just the outfits I like to wear when I go out.
They're very scary, just so you know. You know, just I remember, case in point, I was in a post office. There was a line about 15 deep, and I'd always gone to this post office. The ladies that were behind the counter, very nice ladies, and you know, when you're in that moment, you're like, I wish this line wasn't so long, and you know, why can't they work faster? But if you go often enough and you see them, and you're like, I feel for those ladies that are working their butt off, they're smiling to everybody, and they see a constant stream of people all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just standing there. I knew them and all that, and then there was this lady in line. I had 3 kids. The kids were running all over, screaming and hollering, and I'm not making any noise. I'm just standing there. But everybody else in line is mumbling and grumbling. Can't you watch your kids? And then finally, this one guy behind me, he goes, doesn't this bother you that these kids are running around? You're not making any reaction at all. You're just standing there. I said, you know what? Even if it did bother me, it doesn't matter, because in 5 minutes, I'm going to be out of this line. I'm going to be going on with my day, and I'm not going to remember this instant happening. So I could let this upset me and let it ruin my entire day and recall back to the little kids running around, and then I'll probably also tell the story to somebody else. Would you believe what happened today at the post office? This lady was letting her kids run around.
What you're doing right now.
I'm doing right now. I'm talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But all you're doing by doing that is perpetuating that instance of you getting frustrated about that thing. No, it doesn't matter if you were at work and someone was bothering you at work, and then you go tell everybody else, oh, can you believe what this person did to me at work? And people do it for confirmation that they're right and the other person's wrong, but now you're allowing that person to control your life. You don't think it does. You don't think that it allows them to control your life, but every moment you give thinking about them, talking about them, they're not there. They don't know that you're talking about them. They don't know that you're thinking about them. So, but they have the ability, because they made a little crack at you or are making your life miserable to some degree. You're allowing them to control your life after the fact.
Mm.
And I wanted to point that out. And I thought this was a great venue to do that, especially since we were talking about this with Justin Spencer about Bully X and Legacy X, about this mindset of people that they're allowing. We'll just take for Twitter, for instance. I have a friend, she's being bullied on Twitter, and I'm like, listen, the more attention that you give to this and getting upset about this,
the more they're going to do it.
Then the more they're going to do it. You're responding to them, and they're getting a rise out of you, and they're accomplishing the goal that they went out to accomplish. But if you ignore them and you don't give them any attention, then they'll go away.
You should just beat them up.
You could beat them up, but I don't know what that would accomplish. The one being bullied, it goes and beats up the bully. Violence is not the answer. But if you give them attention, even if you don't, if you internally think about it and you let what they're doing affect you, then they win, pretty much. And George is just nodding his head, even though it's radio.
Yeah, that's good for radio.
Yeah,
it
works
head.
Perfect for radio.
Yeah.
For radio, and you're not on video.
Yeah, so it just works all the way around.
You know how this works too well, huh? Eventually, we're going to get a camera right on George.
I think you're starting to bully me just because I'm sitting back here.
I am bullying you. I'm bullying you because you're not here next to me.
On that side.
You're making me be here by myself. But this is the first show that I did interview someone on the phone line.
How do you think it went?
I think it went. I think
you could understand him perfectly fine.
Yeah, he sounded great, and so it kind of sets that little precedent that we can. I knew that we could do it already, but
you'd rather have them in. I mean,
sure.
We'd rather be able to see them and the reactions.
There's a different way to talk to people. You can see how they're reacting and all that, and you can respond correctly. So if you want to know more about Justin, go to the JeremyWomackShow.com. There's a profile page up there for him. It talks about Recycled Percussion. It talks about Legacy X. And it also talks about Bully X, which is the event that's going on in the middle of the desert out near Jean, if you've driven.
What if this will become huge, like a Burning Man or something?
I hope so.
That would be cool,
It would be really cool.
Yeah.
Even Burning Man is really accepting, it seems, of people and,
Yeah.
and what they
Different
bring.
cultures,
Yeah,
different
exactly.
ideas.
What they bring to the table. But that event's going on March 22nd. And if you want to get involved with Legacy X, go to legacyx.com. Also go on Facebook, like Justin said, and friend him there. Again, thejeremywomackshow.com. You'll find all this information. Thanks, guys, for hanging out today. It was an awesome show, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.